to some celebrity news. Recently,
Mm.
Travis Scott Astroworld Festival happened in Houston, Texas. It had a lot of people. Drake was there, which is our Canadian, I don't know, our Canadian part, I guess. Uh, a lot of artists, Roddy Rich, again, many hip hop artists, but that's not the news, right? The news is that 10 people died in uh, some type of like a stampede. There's allegations that somebody was injecting drugs to people, which is not validated. It hasn't been validated, uh, including a 10-year-old that died in the festival. Again, this is the latest thing that happens. Travis Scott issue an apology. Some of the rappers donated money of their concert, so of their fees to the victims. But this is quite tragic, just because of the fact that this is like people are getting out because of COVID, and they want to have fun, and 10 people are dead, and it is kind of tragic in the sense that, again, I don't think anybody expected this. But one of the things that he's getting flack for is that, and I don't, and I'll say my piece on that in a bit, well, to let you guys, is that once this was happening, Travis Scott was singing and he didn't stop. That's what he's getting flack for. So again, Hillary, what's your take on this?
So I'll start by saying that according to the CTV article that was updated today, it's 8 that are dead, 13 injured, and the youngest is actually 14. I don't know what changed, because I did see those initial articles as well that said that it was a 10-year-old, but this is saying a 14-year-old. This article on CTV also says that the venue was holding 50,000 people, had the capacity apparently for 200,000. And so I'm just trying to figure out what would have happened if 200,000 people would have been there and they would have had it like to full capacity, and it wouldn't have been during COVID. My initial thoughts are that I feel like everyone was probably extremely excited because of the pandemic, and that could have caused some of the like rushing and trying to move to the stage that ended up like killing these people, because I can't imagine there being any other reason behind that type of like rushing and movement throughout the crowd. I honestly don't really think that it's Travis Scott's fault. Like, I feel weirder about the fact that we're holding 50,000 people deep festivals, knowing the numbers that we're still experiencing in Canada. To me, that's weirder. I don't think that somebody performing on stage can see out of 50,000 people, 8 people dropping dead. And I don't think the onus is on him to have, been watching the crowd like a hawk and not perform and then stop the show, or Drake or any of the people that came on. I think that the whole event probably shouldn't have happened because of the pandemic in the first place, but not so much that he should have, been able to know that people were dying. And there is video of him seeing somebody pass out and asking security to go help that person. I don't know if at that point he should have clued in, but I've this is my moment to bring up One Direction. Been to several of their concerts and some Lana Del Rey ones as well, where stretchers had to come and pull people out that were in the pit because they had waited like all day in the blistering heat to be, because it's like a GA pit, and they wanted to be at the very front of the barricade, and then they get there and they've not consumed anything because they're 16 and they think they're going to survive, and they pass out. I've been at those shows. I've been at One Direction shows where they literally stopped songs and asked everybody to take several steps back so that the front wasn't crowded. So it's not that this is necessarily new. I don't know what could have been done to prevent this other than not have a 50,000 person festival during a pandemic. That's my thought.
Clinton, what is your take?
A lot of what you both said, and especially that it's really tragic. It's really tragic that these people are dead and so many are injured. Um, Whether or not the concert should have been had, like you said, Fidel, like there was probably a lot of pent up energy and excitement about it. And yeah, I read some firsthand accounts of the incidents from people in the crowds, and it was horrible. Um, it's definitely not anything new or that hasn't happened in concerts before. it was a crowded space. I saw lots of calls about Travis not stopping the show, and again, I don't know that that's true, because I also saw a video of him calling to security for people he saw laying down in the crowds, not performing during that time, watching to see what would happen, telling security that someone has passed out and to, get them out of there, which is a standard thing to do. Um, I think a lot of the attack is on Travis Scott right now because of sort of the inciting themed tweets and posts that he puts surrounding his upcoming concerts. The rage he has, the energy, he wants to sneak people in who are going to go wild and go crazy. And I think people are sort of attacking him for that and posting all these clips of other concerts from the past of the band stopping, like helping out people in the crowd. But there's probably been like 15, 20, 25 stampede tramplings of people dying just in the past 10, 15 years alone. I'm not saying it's okay or it's right. I think like there needs to be more checks and balances, maybe as not just security, but more people on the side looking out into the crowd, looking for potential dangers, or maybe having specific job titles for people to stop the show. Like they have to stop the show if they see something bad happening. Because I remember like the punk era and the hard rock era, heavy metal era, mosh pits. This is moshing. I've been in many mosh pits when I was I was growing up in the 90s, and they can be crazy, they can be dangerous, they can be energetic. And at the same time, you would think when people get knocked down that it would be the crowd themselves, the people surrounding the people on the ground that need to when you have like a mob wave of people being pushed, that's horrible. um, Travis Scott needs to take responsibility for something that happened at an event that he is responsible for, but to say that it's his fault is a bit of a far stretch. um, and in the end, it's just really tragic.
I think the reason why this is getting a lot of news coverage is because, of course, a lot of people died on something that you don't expect people to die in, right? And as Clinton said, and as Hillary said, you guys said the same thing. I mean, this is not new. Many festivals, this has happened. Woodstock, Lollapalooza. You can search deaf in concerts and festivals, and I myself that I have worked in festivals, I don't think the Travis Scott claim that like he should have stopped the show. First of all, I have done shows of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people, and it's impossible from the stage to see what the hell is going on. Sometimes the artist doesn't even see what the hell is going on because there's so much people and so much going on, and you're focusing on your craft that you don't see. It's like a blur uh sometimes. So that's why you have security, that's why you have all of these things in place for you to do that. That's not the artist's fault. And again, sometimes if you have 50,000 to 100,000 people, I don't think you will be able to see. You see kind of dots. That's how you see it. Like if you've ever been in a big festival on a stage and there's a lot of people, you see like heads, but you don't see a whole lot of stuff. So I think that's a little bit, but again, I think it's click worthy news because it has his name, is his brand. And again, he's gonna get most of the flack on it because that's what's gonna happen. Uh, as far as the victims goes, I mean, this is a festival. They probably have insurance. The insurance will cover this. Will cover death and all of this stuff. What will probably happen is that somebody will probably sue him or sue the company just to get clickbaits, but that usually is going to get solved. I think for me personally, the sad part is that it as people, especially younger people now, I don't think people are behaving in a certain way when it comes to safety in events. Uh, why do I say this? Because I done events, and the amount of people that go crazy, that they go really drunk, or they take too many drugs, or they go do crazy stuff, or try to vandalize and stuff like that. That has happened forever. Now, the big problem with those things is that we see, instead of other people stopping them, they let security stop them, and they let and and other people try to join in the crowd. And again, this has happened for everybody. It says a lot about people more than it says about what exactly happened. Like, if you know that something's happening that might kill people, as a person, shouldn't you have the ability to say, hey, look, this ain't cool, like just stop? Or like, as people, we should say like, hey, like, we should kind of relax on this because somebody might get killed, right? But again, when people are drunk or high or just in energy, they don't do that. And I think that's I think that's the biggest take on it, because it's not going to be the first time that this happened. It's not going to be the last time that it happens. Go ahead, Hillary.
Well, I just, in my experience, so first of all, I've been to several events recently and 2 years ago when I lived here where security flat out was not doing the job that they were supposed to. So some of the rules and regulations that were like on the ticket were being completely ignored as people were being brought into the event. And so it's hard to ask normal civilians to check people's character, whereabouts, what they're doing, when the like black and white rules that security are supposed to follow, but what they're letting in and out of the events is being completely ignored. Recently, a concert that I went to specifically said every single person was going to be asked to show proof that they were vaccinated. Not a single person got asked. And I understand that they moved the venue to being outside, but that, like, even that small thing could make somebody liable. And so it's not like, I'm not going to, and I know this isn't what you were really saying, but I'm not going to go around and start asking everyone around me if they're vaccinated. Like, that's the job of the venue. At the same time, at every Canadian festival concert I've been to, if someone has passed out, every single person around them has always stood around them, protected them, and yelled at security. What I just read is that because there were so many people, the security that was being yelled at Astroworld ignored them until they saw that there were dead bodies, and then were not even properly trained on looking for pulses because they were security and they were not like EMTs or medical professionals. So that's a whole different category of issues. And but like, it's like, I've been to several events. I've been the drunk person and I've been the sober person, and you can't really check everyone, especially if the staff there isn't properly trained and doesn't know what to do, or just plain like point blank isn't following rules. Like, one event that really, really upset me was Veld here in Toronto in 2019, because it said on the ticket that you could bring food if it was factory sealed. And I remember at that point in my life, Hillary was not rolling in money. She was drinking her money. And so I made sure to set aside enough money to buy sealed food and bring it. And then they changed their mind and took everybody's food and just threw it all into a pile to be thrown away. And me being like still the person I am now, kept thinking about like all these kids who had come, who, were like 19 and didn't have money for like $7 fries. They wanted to spend their money drinking, and then they weren't going to have any sealed food to eat to sober themselves up. Like, that's on the venue. You changed your mind based on what was printed on the ticket. And now these kids are hungry, high, and drunk, and you're going to have to deal with that. And I complained. I pulled a Karen and complained. So for me, it's like the venue has to be held accountable to a certain extent. When you've got 50,000 people pushing, though, that's different.
Well, and I think there's two parts from that. Sorry, go ahead, Clinton.
No, it's just like, it's really easy to be trampled. That's all I was going to say. Like, when you
Yeah.
have the weight of human bodies all pushing in one direction, like your leg can only take so much, and then it becomes a domino effect. I totally agree with you, Hillary. And the people, it's, once it starts, it's hard to stop. But it's the venue, it's a little bit the artist. You're totally right, Fidel. And there's all these lights in your eyes. It's hard to, it's amazing that he could see anything. um it's just a crazy environment. Yeah, like it's, you said everyone in the concerts you went to would stand around and help protect the people. That's really the only option.
Well, and I was gonna say to Hillary that there's two parts for that. Like, there's one part that yeah, when you talk about the venue, the security, and the infrastructure of how a festival or event is done, that's totally up to the person that is doing the event. That is up to him. He needs to make sure that he has the right security, the right the right health, the right personnel, everything, and that's insurance. That is up to the person. What I'm mainly saying is, like, when you go to a festival, and this is dependent on the type of festival, like that's one of the things that I had to kind of like see myself, and I saw it in Canada, which is the places out of all the places that I seen it, is that you have these festivals like Belt, like Ultra Music Festival, like all of these festivals that are very commercialized, and you have all of these kind of green grassroots festivals that people feel like it's a smaller crowd. And when you go to those festivals, like folk festivals or like those hippie fests that you see them, these are community-based festivals. These are festivals that they don't have as much as crowd as 50,000 or something. They may have 2-3,000 people, but these people have something in common, that they feel like this festival, they do it every year and it's kind of part of them, so they kind of protect it, right, as it was theirs. They are not making any money, they're actually paying money to go to this festival, they're actually, but there's kind of a clear rule, and in some ways Burning Man was sort of like that in the beginning as well, that there's sort of like this clear rule that, like, if we protect this together, we can all have fun and we can come back. That's really what it come in, and people obliged to that. You can call it invisible rule or no rule, and or like the rule of thumb, whatever you want to call it. And I think that's one of the things that I was just focusing on. I think when it comes to people doing going festivals, and again, it's hard because again, they're commercialized and people want to make money. This People do this to make money. This is a business. Like, so let's not get this twisted. They want to make money. That's the whole point. I think it's difficult on those scenarios, but I also think it's as people, we have to be held accountable if we want this to be sustainable, and to be, and to want to come back to this. We should all have, again, some kind of rule on saying, hey, whatever happens, not cool. It's super hard to do, especially in those kinds of scenarios. But hopefully, again, I hope people learn from this. This is not going to be the last time that this will happen. Like, this is going to happen again somehow, some way. But hopefully people learn from this, and hopefully the families, because I feel like there's a lot of young people that are going to be dead. There's a 14-year-old who knows the age of the other ones. I think that's one of the saddest parts as well. Go ahead.
It goes up to 27, I read. So 14 to 27, 8. So that's like everybody under 30, quite young. And then there's still the 13 that are injured that like they just haven't been released.
Yeah, so there you go.
That's
So
young.
that's a lot of young people that probably had a full life to live, and they wanted to have fun, and I think that's the tragic part, that these people didn't live their full life just because they went someplace to have fun, and they weren't expecting that. So again, hope we'll see how this evolves. I think there's going to be more news, more stuff. We'll see how Travis Scott gets out of this. I think he will. I'm pretty sure he will, unless he does something stupid, which I doubt. But yeah, I think everything's gonna be clear.